Comments, back again, another wee short video. Today's topic will be, I was asked by a subscriber to speak about how to cope with life and children, which I'm going to speak about. Any comments or any ideas that you have or any topics you would like me to speak about, just put it at the bottom and I'll get back to you and I'll speak about it if I can. But today I'm going to talk about the coping with life and children. I don't like the word coping. I try and deal with everything, and people that I work with, I try and help them to deal with it, to deal with life and their children rather than cope. Because when I was coping, I was just getting by, and I didn't like having to cope with something every day. The same feelings, the same emotions, the same sensations in my body, the way I was behaving towards my son and other people. That stemmed from what I had learned. That's why I couldn't deal with life or my child or children. I was so hurt, so angry, so full of fear, because anger, shame, guilt, everything stems from fear. Everything negative stems from fear. Worrying about the children, worrying about our work, worrying about losing our job, worrying what the children are up to, worrying about dying, worrying about getting old, worrying about not having any money, worrying about not having any money. I was so caught up in fear, I couldn't cope with life. I didn't know what life was. I was brought up with a terrible fear of the word God. No human being that I know has met God yet. There is a power there that I know and I've experienced, or I wouldn't be sitting here speaking. I'll try and help you in this short video regards how I couldn't deal with life, couldn't cope with life, couldn't cope with being a father, couldn't cope in a relationship. I couldn't deal with anything because I was never once would I look at myself. I'd learned to blame. I'd learnt fear. I wasn't born with fear. I wasn't born with blame. We know that with watching our children, how innocent they are, how loving they are. They have no racism, no bigotry, no hatred, no jealousy, no envy. All these things are all based in fear. Children aren't born in fear. What is life? Life is what we learn from other people what life is about, when really life is simple. We live here in a place called Earth. We've got the freedom, but we get angry. I got angry because I kept watching things on YouTube and listening to other people on the television and on the news and reading newspapers, which I haven't done for over 20 or 23 years, 24 years. But it caused me to feel so much anger and blame, and I was blaming everybody in the world, politicians, governments, people who were greedy, ignorant. I kept looking at them and I never looked at why was I looking at them. Why was I blaming them? And the way I was feeling through blaming them, I was never taking responsibility. That's how I couldn't cope with life or deal with life. I took it all out of my child. My anger, my fear, my regrets, my shame, the guilt I felt for speaking to him the way I spoke to him, the way I was treating him, the way I was treating myself. I ended up really not well, as you know in other videos, and in hospital, nearly dead. Through my fear, just fear. I know that now through my own experience, please believe me in that. The difficult part was to look at myself. I didn't want to look at myself because I was ashamed when I found out that the truth lies within me. And I always ran away from the truth, and that's why I couldn't live life. I was too busy looking at everybody else and blaming everybody else. Even if there was something left on the floor, for example, and I tripped over it, who done that? Who left that there? Blame. Right away, blame. All I had to do was look, and I maybe wouldn't have tripped over it or studged my toe on it, standing on plugs and cars and toys and shouting and screaming like a child. Through my fear, bills coming in the house, frightened to open them. That was me trying to cope with life. What a state I got into. Every time I seen a brown letter at the bottom of my stair, I'd already pictured in my mind what was in this brown letter. I hadn't even opened it yet, but the fear was already there. It took me years to recognise that I had learned to do this. I kept reacting the same way continuously when things weren't going right in my life. I would revert to blaming other people, getting frightened and scared, worrying what my child was up to. I've worked with loads and loads of families and children, and I can see the fear. And even if you explain it the way I try and explain everything, very, very simple, without any jargon or complicated words, you'll see it's just fear. Fear caused me to be angry, to hurt badly, and blaming everybody else, my religion, my faith, the word God. I'd expected so much from these words. I didn't understand that we're given a life to live. Some it's very short, we might even get a minute, we might get an hour, a baby. And having to live with that trauma because we don't know anything about life. And I referred to blaming God when I lost my parents and my brother and my sister and special close friends to me. I blamed everybody. That's how I couldn't deal with life, my friends, and I couldn't deal with my son. And I couldn't deal with any friends. I wanted to isolate and run away and go and hide somewhere. Really insecure, behaving like a child, stamping my feet when I couldn't get my own way. I turned into a mad control freak. I couldn't deal with life. I didn't know anything about life. What is life? Life is we're breathing. Here today we have a moment, and if I learned to live in that moment, which I did, I had to, there's peace. Because the future I have no power over or control over, the same as the past. I have no power or control over it. I wouldn't accept that. I kept referring back and punishing myself through the Catholic shame and guilt syndrome that I was raised with. I don't blame. There's nothing wrong with religion. It was a message that I perceived and was taught as a child in the 60s. Horrible fear. And that's why I couldn't cope. And the things that was said to me as a child by parents and family members and teachers and social workers and everybody else called me names and stupid. That's why I couldn't deal with life. I believed what other people had said to me. And it's only words that they're using because they're hurting. I understand that today, and I won't hurt through no matter what anybody thinks of me. I can't change it. No matter what they've said, I can't change it. I accept it on the spot. I don't analyse it or justify or dress it up and make it look good. I'm responsible for the way I treated my child, and the way we are treating our children is through our fear. Please believe that. If you're honest enough, you'll see. My own fear caused me to speak to my child and behave to my child in a negative manner that frightened them. And then I had the shame and the guilt and regret. And that carried on for years and years until I finally took responsibility. And this was me without drinking drugs, a qualified and accredited counsellor and therapist that studied psychology. But as you know through the earlier videos, I ripped the qualifications up. They never taught me anything about life, how to deal with life, teaching how to cope with life. I don't want to cope with life. And this is what this short video is regarding. It's our fear, my friends. It's causing us to hate people, to hate ourselves, to dislike our children, to resent our parents, to resent people. And we're hurting through that. We're hurting. We won't take responsibility for the words that come out of our mouth or the thoughts that go through our mind. And we feel the horrible energy in our body. It's just crippling us. We're ending up in the doctors and they're giving us medication. That way we will never ever deal with life because we'll always cope, and we're taking medication, and we'll take that to the day we die until we learn that all I have to do is take responsibility, let my children, love my children, give them the attention that they want. Yes, there's rules to be put down when you're with a child, but once they turn the age of 16, then they are responsible for their own life. We are responsible while they're in our house, but we have to teach them through our mistakes. And if we can teach them through our mistakes and explain to our children why they're doing what they're doing, why they're seeking approval, why they want to be liked, why they want to be loved, why they need this to make them feel better. And if we use our own experiences, my friends, we'll be able to love our children and love ourselves through admitting to ourselves, I know nothing about life, I know nothing about God, I know nothing about the universe, but I know it's through energy. Because when I'm thinking good and doing good, my body feels good inside. When I'm thinking negatively and doing things negatively, my body feels absolute crap. And that's why I had to learn to take responsibility, which is difficult, because it's easier to blame than it is to take responsibility for our own lives. It's the damage that we're doing to our children, and then we're punishing ourselves for that when we didn't know any better. And I know inside it, through me changing and helping others change, that once you admit to yourself, okay, I've made a mistake, I thought I knew better, I thought I knew about life, then the process of change begins. If you do it for your children, it won't work. You have to do it for yourself, and in doing it for yourself, your children will reap the benefit, because you then become the example to your children. How do we take responsibility? How do we do that when we've blamed our whole life, hated our parents, hated people, resent them, will not forgive them? But when we do something wrong, we look for forgiveness. And that's when I was a total hypocrite. I wouldn't forgive my parents, I wouldn't forgive anybody, because I'd learned to do that, and that kept me trapped. Forgiveness set me free, please believe me in that. I forgave everybody who wronged me, I forgave the abuser as a child, I forgave everybody and my parents. I learned what love was to me, is being kind to myself and being kind to other people. I will always feel that goodness inside me, because I don't know what love is, but I know how to deal with life now, and I know how to deal with children. I let them go. I let them learn by their own mistakes through teaching them why they made that mistake, and it's usually through fear. The peer pressure we felt as children, we need to understand that through our own children, why we sought approval, why we were angry, why we throw tantrums. And if we teach our children, they'll grow into amazing adults. Please believe me, when you teach them about the energy that we feel through our thoughts, the way we've learned to think and act and behave through our own thinking, basically. Everything's learned. We did not come out of our mother's womb insecure, please remember that. We came out of our mother's womb laughing, innocent, smiling, full of light, full of love, full of peace. We never judged, we were totally non-judgmental. We loved everybody and everything, and we would speak our mind, and we would look people in the eye and tell them our truth without fearing or analysing or justifying our own behaviour. We would just speak our truth. And that's where I had to get to, my friends, to deal with life, not to cope with it, to deal with my children through learning to take responsibility for my insecurities, my fears, the things that were keeping me trapped from living and breathing. I didn't want to live. I was so ashamed of the things that I'd done and the way I was speaking to my son and to other people. I was a mad control freak. I wanted to control everybody, that way I would feel secure. I'd formed comfort zones. I didn't want to go out. I ended up staying in and being narky and grumpy. And I was taking it out on my son. And that's just not right. And because I was unhappy, I was taking it out on other people, especially my child. So to deal with life and children is take responsibility, please, for the way you think and the way you act and the way you behave. And that way you'll never feel shame, guilt and regret or anger again. Because we know it's us that's reacting to other people and things that's going on in the world that we can't change. The world's okay, it's been going for millions and billions and trillions of years. It's the people here who want to try and change it. I thought I believed I was here to save the world. I couldn't save myself, I couldn't deal with nothing. Today I can deal with everything through acceptance. Accepting the things I can't change. I can't change people. I can't change my children. I can't change the world. I can't make other people do as I want them to do. Through accepting that, I learn to deal with life and deal with my child in a better way. Through loving myself and being kind to myself and being kind to other people. That is the only way I know. It's the only way I know. Be responsible. The universe will always take care of you. I sit here as an experience that I have. I've saw that when I do the right thing comes. I had to learn patience, tolerance, humility, compassion. I had to learn empathy. I had to learn all these things. They don't happen overnight. When you become willing to change, the universe helps you. You'll feel the sensations, or what feelings or emotions as they're called. I call it a sensation in my body. And when my body's reacting that way, it's my soul, my spirit saying, Jerry, don't do that, don't go there, son, don't go there. But the shame and guilt and regret I felt for the way I spoke to my child and when he was younger, it was atrocious. The way I spoke to myself, the fear that I had was unbelievable. And that's why I couldn't deal. I was living in fear. So how can you live life and help your children if you're controlled by fear and you want to control everybody else, when we can't control our own mind, but we feel it's okay to control everybody else. And when someone does something wrong to us, we won't forgive them. But we won't forgive ourselves when we do wrong to others. Oh, I'm sorry I've done that. Can you forgive me? Yes. But can you forgive your mother? No. Can you forgive your father? No. Can you forgive your son or your daughter? No. What they done I wouldn't have done. That's the expectation. That's what causes so much hurt in this world and so much disappointment, resentment. Is through the word expectation. I didn't expect my child to do that. I expected you to do this. People in your work, people on the television, people in the newspaper, how dare they do that? Because we wouldn't do that. And that's how you live life. You let people live their life their way and you live your life your way. It's the only way that I know how to do it. We can complicate it with justifying and using excuses. But the simple way is, I'm responsible for the life that I've been given here on earth. No one else is responsible for it. I'm responsible for the way I speak, the way I think. I'm responsible for the way I talk to other people, especially my child and children. And that was a difficult part for me, was to learn. It's not hard. Once you can change today. If you're sitting there maybe going, no, I don't believe in that, well, fair, that's okay with me. You will hurt the rest of your life. But if you're sitting there going, that guy's right, I'm not responsible. Look at these thoughts that's going through my mind. And then the stupid thing, the silly thing is, we think and believe that we can't change. How insane is that? Telling yourself, I can't change, and you've not even tried yet. Change is just taking responsibility for the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the sensations, and what's coming out of our mouth. When we learn to take responsibility for that, my friends, your whole life will change. But please stop blaming. You love yourself, you love your children, you love the world. Tell yourself that, believe it, and things will start to change. Once you say, I can't or I won't, it's through fear. That's all, fear. The fear of being judged, the fear of change. What will others think of me? Where I came from, I was very aggressive, very violent, very, very angry. I was known as Mr. Angry. Now, I've changed that whole cycle. I've broke the cycle. And I gave my son a chance. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Break the cycle of dysfunction. You are the master. You are in control. No thoughts have any power over you. No thoughts have any power over you. Once you accept you can't change people, you can't control them, you can't fix them, you can't make them take back what they've done, you can't make them change what they've said. We can't do that. We have to accept it. Then we're left with a choice. Do I hold resentment or badness? No, I just accept. For me, it's like, you won't be in my life anymore. I can forgive, no problem. I forgive everybody. But some people overstep the mark and overstep their boundaries. Then we have to be left with a choice and a decision to make. And that's a very simple decision. I don't like being in that environment anymore. So I detach with love and kindness from any human being. That includes my son, partners, friends. I detach because I attached myself to that, and I don't like that. So when you detach with love and have no badness at all, you will experience exactly what this video is about. It's for you. And you've got to realise that you are stronger than your mind can tell you. It's only telling you lies. You're powerful beyond your own means. You can heal yourself. You can heal any illness, any disease through learning to take responsibility and believing and trusting in yourself. Just let the universe do what it's going to do. You live your life your way, let other people live it their way. Give your children attention. Give them love. Play with them. They will always come to you. They will always come to you, the way my sons came to me now. Because I don't tell them what to do. He asks, and I give him the honest answer, and that's what he knows. And that's what I do with other people. I tell them the truth. Some people don't like it. It's not just my truth, because when you're told the truth, you feel it. So I'm hoping that someone here has felt that bit of pain, but it'll go away when we learn to take responsibility. Stop thinking that you can't change. Don't ever think that you can't change. That's a lie. There's millions and billions of people changed, and it's through the pain. As I said earlier, pain is your greatest teacher. So deal with life with taking responsibility for your own life. And that way you'll be able to deal with life, and you'll be able to deal with your children through sitting them down, loving them, explaining to them why. Because you'll be able to explain through understanding the mistakes that you have made through your own life. And that's how you'll be able to deal with your children and become a powerful example to them.